The year of the reboots and remakes. This is what they're doing, trying to create side universes. And what it tells me, guys, well, I'll leave that for later in the video. I've got a thought on this, which is very, very good, as usual. As a comic creator myself, it's very interesting to watch that the two best sellers of the year were Ultimate Spider-Man #1, Ultimate Batman #1, and I believe #3 would be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. It shows that the comic industry is actually in worse shape than we thought. Nothing is selling outside of when they do these #1 reboots with like a zillion variant covers. And these comic shops, it's a scam model too, because there's variant covers that you have to order 100 copies to like get a copy of. And what happens is the collectors will pay that in speculation. They'll pay for the whole 100 copies just to get it. And then they speculate and resell it on eBay. The people aren't even reading these comics, and then those hundreds just sit in comic shops. We saw an image of a comic shop that just had stacks and stacks of Absolute Batman. Now, a lot of people did read Absolute Batman, but even if it sold 400,000 copies, it didn't sell. It didn't, like, I would say maybe half or less people actually read it, maybe 150,000. That's where the comic industry's at. And I've had multiple retailers confirm that. They believe about 30 to 40% of their actual customers even read comics whatsoever. It's really, really sad. And that's the whole problem. Nobody's focused on reading anymore. They're focused on gimmicks. They're focused on events. They're focused on collecting and speculating. It's really, really sad. And it's for me, I came from the book world, where I just sell books. There's no, like, people don't, I mean, there are collector's editions, of course, that we sell and the like. But for the 99%, it's people who buy them to read them. And so it's a very bizarre mindset for me. And I've always kept that in mind. When creating comics, I always do things with a mindset that I want the readers reading. I'm not as worried. If you want to collect, it's fantastic. I have options. But reading is first. I want readers first more than anything else. And that's what the comic industry is still missing at this point. We'll get into the news about the sales here and what this means for the comic industry in just a moment. Smash that like and subscribe button as we talk about all things comic in the culture. Really appreciate you guys for being there. We're over 7,000 subscribers now, thanks to viewers like you, and really, it's been a wonderful year. I am a comic creator, as I mentioned, and this is my Emerald Array. We're getting really close to 300 backers on this. It's on Fund My Comic. I actually got mass reported by DC Comics artists and freelancers and the like, who got me banned from Kickstarter because they don't like my YouTube commentary on the industry. I'm too poignant, and they actually knew, like, I've been too successful on Kickstarter. They were scared that I was going to dominate, and they don't want that. They don't want real competition. Now, what do I do? My secret is that I just tell good stories. I tell stories that have a real purpose. I have real heroes as characters. And because of that, it's definitely a stark contrast from what the comic industry has become. None of these characters, even Absolute Batman's not a real hero. He just feels kind of icky at this point. Same with Ultimate Spider-Man. Peter Parker's down he doesn't even know how to hero. He doesn't even get into a fight, like a real super fight, until like issue 10 or 11, right? And so, I mean, this is really insane to me. Now, this Emerald Array is spacemen versus evil demonic monsters. It is classic science fiction. I bring things back. Even the art style is like Jack Kirby 1970s New Gods. We are trying to dial it back because I don't like the way any of comics has gone these days, and I think we do it way, way better. So check it out. It's in the description below. This is a full male Space Marine team. There's no female Space Marines. It's high tea action. 66 pages of just total ass kicking, and this is for you. So please check this out. It's in the description below, and you'll absolutely love it. Thank you guys for supporting our work so much, and I would appreciate you getting us over that 300 backer hump here on Fund My Comic, which is a free speech platform alternative to Kickstarter, and thank you for all the support so far. It's in the description below, as I said, and this is interesting. DC Comics PR made a claim Absolute Batman at 400,000 copies were ordered across the printings. So Bleeding Cool tried to provide context to those figures. Other news sources reported it uncritically. So AITP, Screen Rant, Popverse, all their articles on this. But Bleeding Cool looked at this since it was first reported, and Absolute Batman led with a 250,000 print run below Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and added subsequent printings to take the sales to comic book stores to 400,000. But Marvel Comics actually had more. Pretty interesting. It's gone through 7 printings in that time, and while the first printing sold less than Absolute Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, talking to distributor sources confirmed the total orders around 450,000 copies. So this is pretty interesting. And here's the reason for this, is that Ultimate Spider-Man It got some hype to begin with. Jonathan Hickman returning to the title got a lot of people interested. But it was a brand new Ultimate Universe. People were not excited about an Ultimate Universe. It was not a thing at that point. And so when it came out and people saw Peter Parker married with children, that inspired fans so much. They literally gave fans what they wanted. The word spread, oh my gosh, this is actually doing honor to the character of Peter Parker, to the original creation. This is the most Spider-Man's been in years. And even though it started out and it's a real slow burn, and honestly too slow for me. I don't think it's that great personally. I just think that element of it is such a big driver that Marvel should pay frickin' attention to this. And the editors, Nick Lowe, Amazing Spider-Man, that's what readers want. Give readers what they want to read, is that Ultimate Spider-Man is married to Mary Jane and has children. That is the ultimate geek fantasy at this point that they want out of anything. That's all you have to do to make it sell, in my opinion, at this juncture. And so it did, and word of mouth picked up on it because of that, and that's why it was so successful, and it got crazy. Now, Absolute Batman came off the hype of that because Ultimate Spider-Man did that, and DC Universe is in such shambles. The main Batman line's a disaster. Chip Zdarsky's done terrible with it, off the heels of Tom King, who did even worse with it. I mean, it's just like there's people who collect Batman because it says Batman on it, but nobody's hype about these titles at this point. But when Absolute Batman was coming out and they saw that Scott Snyder was returning to it, and Scott Snyder had a pretty good run in DC's New 52, somebody who actually did honor to the character back then, they saw, you know what, this is going to be just like Jonathan Hickman's universe. So we're going to go, and it's Batman. It's even better, right? And so people went way all in on the hype train right away. I think this series is going to collapse under its own weight a lot faster than the Ultimate Universe, which is already starting to see signs of that cracking because of just the terrible job that Denise Camp has done on the Ultimates. It's just been a train wreck. But Absolute Batman doesn't feel like Batman. It feels like a random Rob Liefeld creation wearing a bat-ish suit because it doesn't even have a bat on it. It's just a weird logo. But it doesn't feel like Batman, and that's part of the problem here. It's not really absolute Batman. It's quite the opposite. And so I think they're going to have problems with it. I think, yes, they hyped it. I think, and credit where credit's due, I think Scott Snyder did an excellent job promoting it across social media, and I think he pushed really, really hard, and that really, really helped. That enthusiasm can only go for so long. And I think DC really put all of its cards on here, and they said they're all in, right? And so they're really all in. Now, this is going to fade when Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb return to the regular Batman universe because that's a bigger story, and I really think that's probably going to push sales. But these are artificial things because, again, this Absolute Batman, like, it doesn't feel like Batman. This universe is going to last a couple years. We know what DC does. Once the sales drop off, they're going to cancel it and whatever. And it's going to be gone. And same with the Ultimate Spider-Man and all that. So all these collectors who just went all in on this, on another number one that's really not a number one, are going to be left in the dust as like the collector's market dries up on this kind of thing, especially with this many copies out there. So they're not cultivating readers at this point. And the difference is Ultimate Spider-Man actually did build a little hype on readers at the beginning, and Absolute Batman did not build hype based on readers. They built hype based on what Ultimate Spider-Man had done. And hoping that the DC universe could relaunch things. So very, very interesting that this is happening at this level, and very, very sad that the comic industry is still not working on cultivating readers. They're still just like on these all-new number one collector sales gimmicks, hoping that that's going to do something. And it does in the short term, but in the long term, it actually turns readers off because it's like some of the long-term readers go, okay, we've got a jumping-off point at this point of the universe. I think I'm done. I don't want to deal with this collector's crap anymore. And those people bleed off at a much faster rate than they're getting new people in at this juncture. So how do you get new people in? Well, DC's got to figure it out, and Marvel's got to figure it out. That's not my job for them, but I'm doing it over here. And we're doing it just by gaining readers based on word of mouth of how good our books are doing. If you have seen a lot of the reviews of Overmind and the like over the last few years, you know that readers overwhelmingly positively love these books, and it's been picking up steam despite a lot of people trying to hold us back, despite getting banned everywhere. Readers are reading, and that's a good thing. And so that's what I want. I'd rather cultivate a reader than a collector. Honestly, you can get the digital version for $12. Just go in on it. I'd rather get you reading than not reading at all. because it's very, very important. If you're a collector, there's variant editions. There's a hardcover option. We've got all that for you too. But readers are the most important. That's what we focus on here. We focus on story first, and that's why we're building a success over here. And gosh, I wish they'd do that over here, because as much as these are going on, as much as these are popular, and Absolute Batman's kind of fun, it's just not Batman. So it doesn't have the character, doesn't have the stories. Ultimate Spider-Man's so slow, I still don't even get what they're attempting to do with it. It's just not a superhero book. It's sad, and I think they could do better and be better. But that's why we're here, to replace these people with what made comics great in the first place. Check us out. It's in the description below. Leave me a comment down below with what you think about this. You can argue with me about Batman if you want. I love it. I respect all of you guys, even opinions that are wrong. And please hit the like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.